What do the Wolf of Wall Street, a $250 million yacht, and Goldman Sachs have in common? They were all a part of the global scandal where over 4.5 billion vanished from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund, the One Malaysian Development Berhad. This isn't just theft. It's a blueprint for how financial power, celebrity influence, and corruption can shape entire economies and go unchecked for years. To understand the scandal, we need to go back to 2009. Malaysia, a growing Southeast Asian company, had big ambitions. Prime Minister Najib Razak launched One Malaysia Development Berhad, a sovereign wealth fund meant to boost national development, attract foreign investment, and modernize Malaysia. It was supposed to be the country's path to prosperity, but behind the promise was something far more sinister. Jho Low, a flashy financier with deep political connections, especially to Najib. Though not officially a part of 1MDB, Low was its secret puppet master, and he wasn't using it to build Malaysia. He was using it to fund the most extravagant personal lifestyle on earth. 1MDB began with a joint venture with Petro Saudi International. On paper, it looked like a $1 billion investment deal. In reality, much of the money went into offshore accounts tied to Jho Low and his associates. From there, it got bigger. Jho Low used shell companies and global banking network to siphon money from bond deals arranged by none other than Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs bankers Tim Lessner and Roger Inge helped raise $6.5 billion in bonds for 1MDB, earning the bank nearly $600 million in fees. But prosecutors later alleged that bribes and kickbacks were rampant behind the scenes. So where did the money go? Let's follow it. $250 million bought a luxury lot called the Equanimity. $100 million funded Hollywood films, including The Wolf of Wall Street. $35 million bought jewelry for Najib's wife, Rosma Mansur. $30 million paid for parties with Leonardo DiCaprio and Paris Hilton. Hundreds of millions of dollars went towards lavish real estate in New York City, Los Angeles, and London. Some funds even made their way back to Najib Razak's personal bank account, a fact later confirmed by investigations. This wasn't just corruption, it was engineered looting on a global scale. In 2015, the Sarawak Report, an independent Malaysian news site, exposed inconsistencies in 1MDB's finances. Soon after, the Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell. Hundreds of millions had landed in Najib's personal account. Global authorities launched investigations. The U.S. Department of Justice called it the largest kleptocracy case in history. Assets were seized, charges were filed. Goldman Sachs was fined $2.9 billion, its biggest penalty ever.
But I mean, he's bought how many, like almost $100 million worth of property around the world. That's not funding a movie, that's funding a lifestyle. Where did he get that money from? The United States Department of Justice alleges that that money came directly from 1MDB.
Well, everybody assumed that the money was coming from the UAE side. Again, when you are being presented with that sort of offer, you cannot look beyond it because you wouldn't know. You just assume that the monies come from the people who want to invest.
But isn't it important as the Prime Minister of this country to know where the money comes from so that you know that you're not going to eventually be compromised?
Sure.
So why didn't, I mean, it seems to me that you're constantly saying you don't know where the money came from, that yet at the same time, 1MDB was going into massive debt.
No, as far as I'm concerned, I really didn't know it was 1MDB's money because Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince, said, we are going to invest in your stepson's movie.
So
that was his statement.
Do you now acknowledge that it must have been 1MDB money, given that the US Department of Justice has moved to seize your stepson's properties and he's also made a settlement of $60 million? Do you now accept that he was the beneficiary of 1MDB money?
As far as I'm concerned, it was civil settlement and there is no admission of guilt. That is the position, because if you think that it was settled because it's 1MDB, it presumes that he had knowledge.
The fallout was massive. Najib Razak was voted out in 2018, arrested, and in 2022 sentenced to 12 years in prison. Jho Low remains a fugitive, reportedly hiding in China. Goldman Sachs paid billions in fines and had its reputation permanently stained. Malaysia is still recovering its lost funds. But behind the headlines is a deeper issue. How did regulators, auditors, and financial institutions fail so badly for so long? This wasn't a backdoor deal in a small economy. It was a global crime, facilitated by elite bankers, lawyers, and politicians. And it reveals a hard truth. When you follow the money, what you often find is a system designed not to see the theft. 1MDB teaches us that financial transparency is a myth unless accountability is real. Want more deep dives into the biggest financial crimes of our time? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out our breakdowns of FTX, Theranos, and the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. And always remember, follow the money. It never lies.